Here's a list of 15 great watches that I would recommend you buy over buying the new Blancpain Swatch 50 Fathoms Scuba. Let's begin with Seiko. Of course, we're going to start with Seiko because Seiko is the king of diver watches in this price category. There are 3 Seikos that I'm going to highlight, although this whole list could have been Seikos alone. I promise you it's not. First, let's talk about the Seiko 5 Sport. I think this is probably the best alternative to the Swatch because it has a lot of the same qualities, including fun color options and a lot of different strap options, but it does everything just a little bit better. First of all, the watch is cheaper. The Swatch is $400. You can pick up the Seiko 5 Sports all day long for around $200 online. Secondly, these are real watches with real movements, mechanical movements that can be serviced, and if you service them and if you take care of the watch, it will last you forever. These are also watches that you can take swimming. They have 100 meters of water resistance, so you can definitely swim with them. They also have diver style bezels, and they come from a reputable company. Seiko has been in business longer than Swatch, and they know exactly what they're doing when they're making these watches. The next Seiko I'm going to recommend is a little bit more expensive, but also fantastic. Seiko Turle. Once again, you have a lot of different options with this model, different styles for the straps, or you can have the watch on the bracelet. There's also a lot of different dial and bezel combinations. Why these watches are a little bit more expensive than the Seiko 5 Sport? Because they come from a Pro Specs series of Seiko diver watches, which means they are professional diver watches, ISO certified. Unlike Swatch, these ones you can actually take diving with you, and you can be sure they're going to perform great at any depth up to 200 meters under the surface of the water. These models are powered by the Caliber 4R36 automatic in-house movement. Seiko does make their own movements. It's not a hybrid movement, but it is a solid one. Once again, you can actually service these watches, so they can last you a lifetime and you can pass it on to your kids afterwards. And lastly, let's talk about Seiko Samurai, another one of my favorites, where the Seiko Turtle was about 45 millimeters in diameter, although it wears smaller. The Seiko Samurai is 43 millimeters in diameter. So it is technically smaller according to the numbers, but it does, in my opinion at least, wear larger than the Seiko Turtle. I think these watches are fantastic because of their cases and the different options that you get. Once again, there are so many different dial and bezel combinations. These watches are powered by the very similar movement to the Seiko Turtle. This time it's 4R35 automatic movement. It doesn't have a day complication like the Seiko Turtle. This one is date only. Just like Seiko Turtle, they are ISO certified, which means you can safely dive with these watches and they can pretty much withstand anything you will throw at them. Unlike a little plastic watch that probably will not last all that long with a plastic crystal. Another great alternative is Citizen ProMaster series. Once again, just like with Seiko, there's so many different watches to choose from, and you can pick up these watches under $400 all day long. There are some older versions, there are some newer versions. There are versions with the crown at the 4 o'clock position, there are versions with the crown at the 8 o'clock positions. It really depends on what you're looking for, what style you prefer, what color combination you like, what strap options you like. There's just a lot to choose from. You could also have the Swatch with an automatic Miyota movement, which are excellent, or you can have them with the solar powered quartz movements, which are also excellent. It comes from one of the most respected companies in the watch industry with great history, great track record, and once again, just like with Seikos, you can be proud of wearing this watch and you don't have to throw it out after 5 years once the movement stops working. Let's talk about the third Japanese company that offers affordable divers, Orient, and here we have 2 different models to choose from. We have Ray version 2. I actually owned a version of the Swatch a long time ago and I loved that timepiece. It wears great on the wrist with its 41.5 millimeter diameter. It also has a very interesting design to its case as well as its bracelet. I personally really like the little highlights that you get on the bracelet. The watch is powered by the Caliber F6922 automatic movement. It's a very reliable and accurate movement, and you can enjoy this watch for years to come. I also like that it has proper 200 meters of water resistance, a lot of great styling, and again, you have some options in terms of the dial colors as well as the bezel options. The other Orient that I want to highlight is called Kamasu. It's a very similar watch to the one we just talked about, has slight differences in terms of its looks and design, it is also a bit of a larger watch at 42 millimeters. I really like the look of this watch. I actually think I prefer the look of this one over the Ray 2, but hey, to each their own. This one has a little bit more of a muted look. It doesn't have those highlights on the bracelet, but still has the same great caliber F6922 automatic movement. Once again, quite a few different options to choose from, and these watches can be had all day under $200. By the way, I will leave links to some of these watches in the description below. Check them out if you're curious about any of them. Next, let's talk about an absolute spec monster. This watch outshines pretty much every other watch on this list in terms of specs on paper. For sure, it outshines the Swatch by a mile. I'm talking about Glycine Combat Sub. Ashford always has these watches on sale, and here's one that I found for around $350 US. This watch is packed with features. So get this, you get a Swiss-made watch, which is kind of rare in this price point. You also get a watch with sapphire crystal, which means that you can't scratch the crystal, 200 meters of water resistance, that diver style bezel, of course. You also get an automatic Glycine caliber GL0259 automatic movement, which is based on the ETA 2824 automatic movement. It's probably the best movement out of any watch that I'm going to mention today. It's super reliable, very easy to service, and these movements can be found in watches that are way more expensive. In fact, my Breitling here has a version of this movement powering it. So that's how big and popular these movements are, and just to give you an idea of the type of deal you can score in this price range. That's why a lot of watch collectors got upset with this Swatch Blancpain collaboration, because at $400 there's some fantastic watches that you can score, like this Glycine. If you're on a bit of a budget and you don't have $400 to spend on a watch, well, worry not, I have the perfect answer for you, and it comes from Invicta. It's called Invicta Pro Diver, and it's actually a pretty solid watch. I know there's a lot of hate and joking around about Invicta, and yes, they deserve it because of some of their stupid ass watches, but this one here is actually a good watch. I owned one myself for a few years, and I can tell you firsthand, it's a great watch to use on a daily basis. It comes in a proper 40mm case diameter, so you can wear it if you have a smaller wrist. It is powered by the Seiko's automatic movement called NH35. It's a great movement, reliable movement, a movement you can service, and this watch should last you for a long time. It also has 200 meters of water resistance. It has that diver style bezel. It basically has everything that Swatch offers, and the best part, you can score them for under $100. You can score them for $80, $70 sometimes on Amazon, on Jama Shop, on websites like that, and there are quite a few different color options to choose from. Speaking of colors, let's talk about Bulova Oceanographer. This is one of those watches that is kind of flying under the radar. Not a lot of watch collectors are talking about it, but I think it's excellent, and you can score them for around $400 on Jama Shop. It's a proper diver watch with 200 meters of water resistance. It has a larger case of 44 millimeters, but just like Seiko Turle, it's a bit of a cushion case, so those watches wear smaller. I think this one wears closer to 42 millimeters. It is also powered by a Miyota automatic movement. It has a diver style bezel, and it comes from Bulova, one of the most well-known watch companies in the world. Now, if you want to go with something a little bit less well-known, there are a lot of micro brands that offer fantastic watches. One of my favorites is Zelos, and they always release a bunch of divers a few times a year within this $400 to $500 price category. Currently on their website, you can still pick up a model called Swordfish, which is an excellent value for money proposition. It comes in a titanium case, so it's feather light, just like the Swatch, but it's much tougher because titanium is a fairly tough metal. It is powered by the Seiko NH35 automatic movement. It has an amazing lume, these watches, and it also has a lumed bezel. It also has 200 meters of water resistance, and it is a proper watch. I reviewed a ton of these Zelos watches, and they always impress me. I don't know how they pack so much value for $400. Another micro brand that packs a lot of value for money, and a micro brand that I'm very familiar with personally, in fact I reviewed quite a few of their watches, is called Phoibos. I haven't reviewed one in probably 2 years, maybe 3 years, but back in the day, I pretty much reviewed every model. One of my favorites is this Reef Master model. It's a diver watch with 200 meters of water resistance. It's powered by the Seiko NH38 automatic movement. It has fantastic lume, and just like in the Zelos, the bezel is also lumed. You have quite a few different dial options as well as bezel options to choose from. It comes on a stainless steel bracelet, and overall build quality of this Phoibos watches is great. Another micro brand that I have reviewed in the past and that has surprised me with their quality is called Borealis. They have this model called Bull Shark version 2, and it's an amazing looking watch. It has these snowflake hands, but it doesn't look like an homage to a Tudor. It comes in a great 38mm case diameter, which I really like. It also has 300 meters of water resistance as opposed to 200 meters like we've seen on some of the other watches. The case and the bracelet are both made out of stainless steel. It has a ceramic bezel insert, something that is hard to find in this price range, and it's powered by the Miyota 9 series movement, so it's a high beat movement. All of that for around $400. Man, what a deal. Lastly, I want to mention 3 more watches. Now, these watches are a little bit more expensive. We're getting close to that $500 price point, but I think they're worth adding the extra $100 for. The first one I want to mention is called Steinhart Ocean 1 Black, and it can be had for $470 US. I personally owned and reviewed a Steinhart watch, and I can tell you the quality that you get for the money is unbeatable. Under $500, you're getting a lot of value. Yes, this watch looks quite a bit like Rolex Submariner. To some people that might be a bad thing, to others might not be such a bad thing, but you cannot argue with the specs. It comes in a 42mm stainless steel case with a stainless steel bracelet. It has 300 meters of water resistance, a sapphire crystal with AR coating, and it is powered by the ETA 2824-2 automatic movement. Fantastic specs, fantastic quality for the money, and an amazing movement. When you have one of these watches, you can wear it confidently for years and years and years, and you know that the watch will last. Another watch that's going to last you a lifetime is Tissot Seastar Automatic 1000. I was surprised to learn that you can pick up this watch on Jama Shop for under $500. It's actually $489 to be exact. It punches well over its price point. First of all, it comes from Swatch Group, just like the Moon Swatch and just like the Blancpain Swatch collaboration. It is powered by an excellent movement, Powermatic 80 with 80 hours of power reserve. It has 200 meters of water resistance and proper water resistance because this is a proper diver watch, so you can be confident swimming and diving with this timepiece. And it even has a sapphire crystal. All of that for $80 more than the Swatch. It's a no-brainer. And again, that's why a lot of people are mad at Swatch and their stupid pricing for the Blancpain collaboration. Yes, you get the Blancpain name on the dial, but that's all you get. You just get the name. You don't get the quality of Blancpain. With this Tissot, you also get the quality and the name. It's a much better choice. There is no two ways about it. And lastly, let's talk about a watch that doesn't really punch as much in terms of specs, but I just really like this brand and I really like how these watches look, and the quality is definitely there. The company is called Orient Ray and the model is called Neptune Series 4. I reviewed Series 3 on this channel and I was really impressed with the timepiece. The looks are, bar none, the best looks from any diver on this list, at least to me. I know looks are very subjective, but I really love how these watches look. They come powered by the Miyota 9 series movement, which, if you remembered from earlier, is a high beat movement, very accurate, easy to service, and reliable. The only downside of this watch is the fact that it doesn't come with a domed sapphire crystal. Instead, it comes with a domed acrylic crystal, which is a bit of a downside. But other than that, I think these watches are fantastic. And that's it. That's the video of 15 great and real watches I would rather buy instead of buying the new Blancpain Swatch collaboration. What do you think about my list? Did I miss any watches? Leave your comments in a comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching this one, and we'll see you next time. Bye.